What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video, and today we are talking about the recently released Godzilla vs Kong. What are my thoughts on it? Is it good? Is it bad? Would I recommend it? That type of stuff. So we'll be going in a bunch of different type of topics that go into this specific movie. I'd like to kind of do more of this stuff for like other movies and TV shows coming out and stuff like that. So if you want to hear this, let me know in the comments below, and I'll probably do that. Usually I do a sitting in front of the camera, talking head type thing. But today we're kind of doing like a podcast style thing, so let's just see how this goes with a slideshow. Now, with that said, if you enjoy this video and you'd like to see more, please remember to like, subscribe, turn notifications for more. So let's just jump right into the movie. So for me, I think this is a really good monster movie. You know, you can't be jumping in this movie thinking you're going to be getting something epic. You're not going to get Lord of the Rings, Return of the King on this. You know what I mean? You're not going to get an amazing film. What you are going to get is a very fun monster movie. And so while I wouldn't say it's a good film, it is a good monster film, and that's kind of what I would say about the movie altogether. So far, the Legendary Pictures Monsterverse has 4 different movies. We have Godzilla 2014, we have Kong Skull Island, we have Godzilla King of the Monsters, and of course the newest one, Godzilla vs King Kong. And I would say this is probably my second favorite out of all of them, with the only one that I think that tops this one would actually be King of the Monsters. And I think it's just because it was just a overall crazy fun movie the entire time, where this one had a lot of slow moments and logic that really didn't make sense. But like I said before, this is just one of those fun monster movie popcorn flicks. You're supposed to go to theaters with your friends and just kind of hang out and watch the explosions and the fights. You're not supposed to invest a lot of time into the plot, the storylines, the characters, and that's just kind of what I did for this movie too. But I'd say that while this movie held up better than Skull Island and Godzilla 2014, I do think that as a monster fighting crazy whole situation movie, Godzilla King of the Monsters is a superior movie, but still, this is a fun one for sure. So before I jump into my thoughts about the story and the plot of this movie, let me talk about the characters. Well, technically, there was only really one character, maybe 2 characters, because the only real character in this film is, you know, King Kong, and then maybe his like little assistant friend. In the end of the day, these movies aren't supposed to be about the humans; they're supposed to be about the monsters. And I think that this movie, while it's called Godzilla vs Kong, I do personally believe this is more of like Kong 2, Clash of Kings. That's what they should have called it. That's actually a pretty good title in my opinion. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't hate the characters, but I don't remember any of their names. I like the little girl who's like she's like deaf. I think she's a really interesting character to introduce, and I think she did a really good job making me believe she's actually in this world, which is pretty cool. Her like it's not actually her mother, but more of her like adopted mother. She was nice. The new main guy they added, he was cool. Don't know their names, like I said. I feel like I should, but you know, it's just Legendary Monster Universe. I don't know the names. Oh, and speaking of which, Seven from, I know her name, Billy Brown. I don't know if that's the name. I know her name has Billy in it. Seven from Stranger Things. She was good in this too. I liked her in the last one too, but at the end of the day, I don't know her name. I don't know her dad's name. I don't even know her friend's name. And I think they said it a couple times. Greg? No, it's not Greg. Maybe Ralph? No, it's not Ralph either. The conspiracy guy they have with him, the black guy, he's pretty cool. But like I said, I don't know his name. And you'd think for a movie that's 2 hours long, I would kind of care more about these human characters, especially since they're there. I don't think we're ever going to be able to get a movie that isn't based around these human characters. But I think as far as the movies go, this is the closest we've gotten to actually making a movie about the beast. And that is, of course, Kong. So I mentioned earlier about how I think that this should be called Kong 2 and not Godzilla vs. Kong, because this is definitely Kong's movie. He's our hero. While we're following the humans, he is the big bad beast who is trying to essentially save the day. And he does succeed. However, he doesn't really succeed the way that you'd think he would. It was cool to see Kong like kind of explore his past without like being able to talk. I mean, sure, he can kind of do sign language with the little girl, but he can't actually talk to the audience. We can't see him, you know, talk about his feelings. So we have to kind of see it through his eyes and his expression and his motion capture. And I think they did a really good job with that. I definitely believed that this was a giant, like 150 foot gorilla. He may actually be bigger than that. I don't actually remember how big they said he was. I do know he's a lot bigger than he was in Kong Skull Island, and he's going to continue to grow. In fact, there is this theory online that he actually comes across this massive gorilla statue that's even bigger than him. And the theory is that he can actually grow to eventually be that size too. So it'd be cool to kind of maybe see that explored in the future at some point. But I will be talking about what I'd like to see in the future of this franchise at the end of the video. So just, keep on listening, because it's gonna be an amazing video. So it's cool to see Kong kind of go on this hero's journey, if you will. He's kind of just stuck in this encampment. He's being held back from being who he's essentially supposed to be, or being the king of his own kingdom. And he picks up Excalibur, which is also in this film is the axe, and he becomes the king. Now, there is a little misconception at the end of the film that I'd like to talk about, and that is when it comes down to who actually won the fight between Kong and Godzilla. And for me, I think it was more of a, like the initial fight, Kong did lose. But at the end, after they defeat the Mechagodzilla, a lot of people are reading it as Godzilla was like back down and Kong's like, okay, you win. Like I lose, I forfeit. I didn't see it that way. I saw it more as Godzilla looked at Kong like, are we good? Like, do you want to keep fighting, or I'll keep fighting. Like, I'll keep going. And Kong's like, you know what? I'm not going to lose, but I am going to just let you have the victory. So it's not as much as, Kong wussied out. One thing I noticed is that in this movie, I do kind of feel like they changed Godzilla's role from what we've seen in King of the Monsters. Now, what I mean by this is in 2014, Godzilla is, he's a force of habit. He is a equalizer, right? If there's a problem in the world, he comes up, he fixes it, and he goes back down in the water. That's what he does. In King of all Monsters, they kind of changed it to make it more like he was actually a hero. He knew what he was doing. He's actually a good guy. And in this movie, they changed it back. So now he is more just a force to be reckoned with, but he's not like stupid. He's not just some dumb reptile who sees a big bad guy and goes, oh, I want to fight that big bad guy, and goes and fight him. No, he actually believes that, the earth is his domain, and anyone who tries to cause problems, he goes and kicks their butts, or he gets them to submit, like he did at the end of King of all Monsters. He gets all the other beasts to submit to him before they all walk off into the sunset. You know what I mean? So in this one, I don't necessarily think that Godzilla even wanted Kong to submit. He just wanted to see that Kong wasn't going to cause any issues. Godzilla is about to kill Kong. He decides not to because he sees that Kong isn't a threat. That's when he realizes Kong is not a threat. Why would I kill him? Because he's not a threat, and maybe one day he could be a potential ally. And of course, that was a good call because Kong saved his life. So I mean, at the end of the day, I do think that it was a cool idea to kind of pull from both sides of that story, because if you think of Kong, he is the hero of the story. He is an actual character, where Godzilla, he's not really a anti-hero. He's not a good guy. He's not a bad guy. He is just the equalizer. If there's someone causing issues, he goes and solves it. So for me, I think it makes sense why Godzilla would have just kind of let Kong go, not because he wanted to kill him, but because he realizes, like, this guy isn't a threat to me, so I'm not even going to cause any issues. He's not here to harm the world or destroy it. He's just here to be here. And I think that makes sense personally. So I pretty much covered Godzilla and Kong, and those are the only characters to talk about. There are some villains along with our heroes, but they are just kind of, mustache twirling villains. They don't really have anything extra to really serve to the plot besides just to introduce Mechagodzilla to the end of the fight and kind of give Godzilla and King Kong a reason to join forces and fight. And I just want to add to this, I saw a couple different reviews, and some took that ending as if Godzilla and Kong were best friends, or Godzilla's like, you want some, and Kong's like, I give up. It wasn't that Kong necessarily gave up, in my opinion. And I could be wrong. Maybe I'm reading that scene wrong, but Kong didn't give up. He just was like, I'm not going to fight anymore. Kong realizes that there is no reason to fight Godzilla. He even realizes that that's why Godzilla is out fighting, because Godzilla came to destroy Mechagodzilla. And of course, Kong was in the way, and so he thought he was the real threat at the end of the day. The real threat was actually Mechagodzilla. So I think that's pretty good. Okay, with characters out of the way, let's move to the story and plot. Overall, it's messy, especially like the first like 30 minutes of this film. I do think like, and maybe it's just me, but like the first like even 5 minutes of this film has a bunch of different scenes that just feel so janky. Like they were supposed to be longer, but the studio only allowed like a 2-hour movie. So they're like, let's just shorten these and get right to the point and get to the point where we see Kong and, or I should say we see Godzilla and Kong fighting, which is okay because that's what this movie is ultimately about. But I do think like there are some points in this movie where I could have seen an extra like 10 minutes of stuff. And when I say that, not like 10 minutes of each scene, but I mean like they could have made this movie, instead of being a 2-hour movie with 10 minutes of credits, so it's actually like a hour and 50 minutes movie. They could have made a straight 2-hour movie with 10 minutes of credits. I think they could have fit a little extra into the story to kind of make it a little more cohesive and a little more real. Now, like I said at the beginning of this video, this movie, its story isn't trying to be the best movie to ever exist. It's just trying to get us to the battles, and I think it does a really good job at that. But I do think there could have been some points where they could have expanded a little bit more and made it more cohesive, like I said. So that might just be me, but that's how I feel. As far as action goes, amazing. I mean, you really can't complain about the action in this movie. It's great. I mean, there are some slow moments, so it could be wrong, but in between the slow moments, there are these really good shots of just action, Godzilla versus Kong, and the different situations going on. The introduction of Mechagodzilla was really cool. You know, I did keep up with the rumors of Mechagodzilla showing up in this movie. I just kind of thought he'd show up sooner. Like this movie only had like 15 minutes left, and Mechagodzilla was only like just showing up, and I was like, whoa, they really took this long to show this guy? So that's one of those events where I think they could have added a scene earlier that would maybe have Mechagodzilla doing more damage or something, or it wasn't just like, oh, he shows up to kill Godzilla and King Kong, but wait, now he's controlled by Ghidorah's skull. What? And that's another thing that I think wasn't very clear to people. Oh, and that's another thing that I don't think was very clear to people, at least for me it was, like Ghidorah was the one controlling Mechagodzilla, and I thought that was a really cool twist on the whole situation. But some people thought that it was the AI having its own control, but no, it was actually Ghidorah trying to kill Godzilla, try to get him back. So I thought that was a really cool concept to kind of introduce into this world, to make Ghidorah like an actual big threat, because not only was he like Godzilla's biggest threat back in the day, but as far as this movieverse goes, so far he is Godzilla's toughest enemy. So it'd be cool to kind of see like Ghidorah continuing to have some type of fallout even after he dies, and I think this was a really good job of like doing that. So with all this said, it was just a really good monster movie. Not a good movie, but a good monster movie. Characters kind of suck, except for Kong. Kong's cool, and I like his deaf friend. She's cool too. But as far as the other characters go, they're all kind of just all right. You know, some are bad, some are all right, but none of them are like actually good. I mean, like I said, this should just have been called Kong 2 Clash of Kings, and that's what it should have been called, because it was the clash of Godzilla versus Kong. And then of course in the end there's a new competitor, and they realize, hey, why are we fighting for the throne when this guy's going to kill both of us? So we might as well just team up. So I think that was a really cool idea to kind of to do that. Now that said, there is only one thing I want to see. If they're going to do a sequel, and I heard that this movie is actually doing a lot better than they had expected for the pandemic, and only being released in like some theaters and being released on HBO Max. Apparently it's doing really well. So there are probably going to be talks of doing a sequel to this movie, and I think what they should do, the next one should be Godzilla from space, like the space Godzilla. I think the older movies, there were only like 2 threats that Godzilla really suffered against. I mean, there were always a couple guys who would give him some trouble, but there were 2 that really made him suffer, or I should say 3. Mechagodzilla, which we saw in this film, King Ghidorah, which we saw in the previous film, and Space Godzilla. So I want to see Space Godzilla. They can call him something else, of course. I want to see him come down, wreak havoc, and just see how Godzilla's going to deal with this. And, you know, Space Godzilla, maybe he wants to destroy the Earth. And guess who's in the Earth? Kong. So Kong and Godzilla are going to have to team up again. Only this time, maybe they're going to bring some friends. You know, this is a Thanos level event. So that's what I want to see. I want to see all those other Titans that were in the previous movie. I want to see them all come together, led by Kong and Godzilla, and go fight Space Godzilla and see how it goes. You know, I think that'd be an amazing film. And if they were going to end the franchise after that one, which I think they probably would do, if, you know, this movie doesn't do great but it does good, they'll do one more just to finish it off. And I think that'd be cool. But how did you guys feel about this movie? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Would you recommend it? Would you not recommend it? I would ultimately say, if you know what you're going in to see, you're going to like it. You know, if you're expecting something amazing, you're going to be very disappointed. But as far as the future goes, what would you like to see in the future of this franchise? Who do you want to see Godzilla fight next? Who do you want to see Kong fight next? Do you want to, like, separate movies? Like maybe like an Avengers style thing where Kong has his own war down in the planet before coming back up in the next film? Let me know in the comments below. Please remember to like, subscribe, and notifications for more. And until next time, guys, I'll catch you later. Peace.